Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce the teams, starting with Team Dominican Republic. Number 1, JC Hernandez. Number 2, Maria Marte. Number 3, Jennifer Jimenez. Number 4, Julady Zapata. Number 6, Ana Miguelina de Los Angeles. Number 7, Genesis Evangelista. Number 8, Charlene Frias. Number 12, Marlene Caceres. Number 13, Iosilis Reynoso. Number 14, Jamila Rodriguez. Number 15, Sohairi Monsac. And number 23, Jennifer Ramirez. The coaches, Teresa Duran, Miguel Reyes, and Iodis Reynoso.
I mean, I don't know what y'all came here to do, but if you ain't got a lighter.
And now it's time to introduce Team Canada.
What the though?
Number 4, Sammy Hill. Number 5, Kia Nurse. Number 6, Bridget Carlton. Number 7, Nayo Rankog Ekunwe. Number 8, Kim Gaucher. Number 9, Miranda Ayim. Number 11, Natalie Achanwa. Number 12, Jamie Scott. Number 15, Aaliyah Edwards. Number 21, Shayna Pellington. Number 22, Ruth Hamblin. And number 23, Quinn Dornstouter. The coaches, Lisa Thomaitis, Steve Bauer, and Carly Clark.
And she don't know what the yo, where the love go.
Now at this time, we ask you to please rise if you are able and remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem of Dominican Republic. Please remain standing for the playing of your Canadian national anthem. The officials for tonight's game, Crew Chief Marcos Benito from Brazil, umpire Juan Jose Maria Fernandez from Argentina, and umpire Krishna Dominguez Viveros from Mexico.
Welcome back to the Expo Center in beautiful Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I'm your play-by-play guy, Paul Sir, along with Kira Lyons, and we are here to bring you Canada against the Dominican Republic, the final game in the Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament here in Canada 2019. Canada has already punched its ticket to the February Women's Olympic qualifying tournaments. Site yet to be determined, but Kira, it's going to be an interesting game today. Both teams, as it relates to the tournament, have nothing to play for, but both have something to prove. So it's going to be interesting to see what Coach Lisa Tomaitis and her staff have in mind in terms of how they're going to play their team against the Dominican Republic, who have been eliminated from contention for one of the two spots moving forward.
It is an interesting game. You know, the last game of the tournament, like you said, Canada's punched their ticket already. But I also don't think at this level you just mail it in if you're the Dominican Republic. You know, you're still here fighting for your pride, fighting for your country, and you have an opportunity to play a team who is fourth in the world, who is, you know, a good chance of going to the Olympics, going to the qualifying anyway. So this is a chance for them to really learn and gain a lot of experience against a powerhouse. And as far as Canada goes, it's also, they have limited time to play with each other, right? After this, they all go back to their own pro team, so it's another chance for them to work on things, build their cohesiveness, and just continue to generate their momentum and their rhythm going into the qualifying tournament. So these games are definitely not a wash for either team, and they're important moving forward for both.
Canada's going to go with the same starting lineup as yesterday. Sammy Hill, Kia Nurse, Renkaka Kunwi, Natalie Achunwa, and Bridget Carlson are going to start for Canada. And that, to me, demonstrates out of the gate that Canada is committed to execution, building that chemistry you're referring to, Kira, and making sure that this is a good send-off as everybody returns to their teams literally all around the world, from Ruth Hamlin going to Siberia to Kia and Bridget going back to Australia. We're going to China. We're going to Europe. We're going all over. And I think that we are going to see Canada come out with every intention of imposing their will early on this Dominican Republic team. The Dominican Republic team, they're ranked 40th in the world. They had a tough loss to Cuba yesterday, which determined the outcome, putting Cuba in the game today, a very tightly contested game with Puerto Rico, but they lost 70-68 yesterday, and now on the court, I'm really curious to see where their spirits are too, because you could be discouraged, think there's nothing to play for, but again, they're probably trying to accomplish the same goals as Canada and build for the future. Yeah,
absolutely. And even just by seeing their demeanor right out of the gate, it looks like they're, in a positive space, and just watching how they're interacting with each other, with the refs. They want to be here for sure. And like I said, I don't think you get to this level if you mail in games like this, because there's always something to be learned. There's always something to move forward with. And in Canada's side, against Puerto Rico yesterday, they came out with the win, but they had to grind. They had a really tough time finding their rhythm, and this is a chance for them to kind of reunite in that aspect.
Find their chemistry again, find some of their mojo again. Turnover right away. Headman by Kia Nurse to Sammy Hill. Turns the ball over. We've got a 2-on-1, although Canada's getting back on defense. Close off really nicely. Puerto Rico forced to set up in the half court and get their pattern started.
Dominican Republic, I think you meant?
No, I meant, yes. Oh my, lost my mind for a minute. Yes, lost my mind. Yeah, Dominican Republic, my bad. Canada attacking Bridget on a take, draws the foul, nice give and go with Renkaka Kunwi, and we've got Canada going to the free throw line, up 2-0, 9:05 left to go. One of the things they never got yesterday, Kira, was that kind of action out of Bridget Carlton, because Puerto Rico didn't let them do it. I was talking to one friend who, good basketball mind, said, why couldn't Canada execute against Puerto Rico like they did against Cuba? And I said, because Puerto Rico didn't let them. They took that away from them. They were forcing them to do other things in order to be successful.
Yeah, and they did a fantastic job, only losing by 4 to the Canadian powerhouse. So they did a fantastic job just disrupting their rhythm and making them really work hard for every basket.
Absolutely. And my apologies to the Dominican Republic fans for my mistakenly saying the opponent for Canada was Puerto Rico. Natalie Achunwa leading the fast break. Natalie on the quick, tight cut inside. Nice, strong power finish on the inside. Canada off to a good 6-0 start.
The second she let go of that pass, you knew she wanted it back.
Canada's pressure right now overwhelming Dominican Republic. Kia on a beautiful, that's what makes, one of the many things that makes Kia Nurse such a great player. She's such a smart, skilled basketball player combined with being an absolutely extraordinary Olympic athlete. That body control was so apparent there.
The thing that impressed me the most with that was her one-handed catch.
Absolutely.
Just absolutely no, didn't bobble it for a second, just right hand, cradled the ball right into her steps. It was just so smooth and fast, and I really think that if you don't watch that closely, you'd miss things like that she makes look so easy.
Yeah, she does. She has always had that ability to make things that for most players are hard look very easy. There again, that's what they weren't able to do for Bridget yesterday, is find her like that. She's playing, of course, with great confidence today. It goes to what Puerto Rico was able to do with Canada yesterday and take that confidence away. So now Canada back on track, 11-0. Huge start in the first 2.5 minutes.
And Monsac, who just took that 3, great performance by her yesterday. It was a little bit of a battle of their veterans between the Dominican Republic and Cuba, and she put in a huge battle and such a performance by her.
Sammy Hill putting it up nice and high on the inside to Achunwa, who's moving well to the basket. The emergence of Sammy Hill as a force on the Canadian team is one of those developments that is really fun to watch. When Canada first came to Edmonton in 2013, and of course they were coming off a very surprising and successful 2012 Olympics in London. And Sammy Hill 2 years ago was in the age group national team program, but now she has already asserted herself, and as of right now, not that this is where it will end up ultimately, but looks very comfortable at the point guard spot. And one of the great things, Kara, about Sammy at the point guard is her length, like 1.78 meters. Like, she's not a small individual. She's long, she's very athletic, she shoots the 3 well, and is a really good defender.
And that really showed yesterday. And she was matched up with O'Neal on Puerto Rico yesterday, who was having a fabulous game, hitting fearless shots and just a fantastic performance by O'Neal. But Sammy Hill, who was 5 inches taller, defended her for a portion of that game. They kind of rotated, but she did a fantastic job. There were no shots that were uncontested. She kept up with her foot speed and good positioning. She did a really good job on her yesterday, and they kind of rotated between her, Nurse, and Pellington on O'Neal, and that is some great company to be switching up defensively with Kia Nurse if you're Sammy Hill.
I love Raincock Akunwa's springs. She gets up so quickly. She has one of the best first and second jumps I've seen in women's basketball. Get up, contest shots, but get up quickly on the second go-round.
So athletic.
So athletic.
And that's kind of the theme to this Canada team, is just the athleticism. They don't necessarily have the biggest posts, the biggest size when it comes to the world stage, like when you get to the Olympics, but they make up for it with their speed, their length, and their athleticism. There are so many incredible athletes on this roster.
Yosilas Reynoso at the free throw line. She is from Brooklyn, the Bronx actually, played at Central Connecticut, had really nice numbers in a Division I program, and has been an effective performer, brings length and athleticism in her own right, not at the same level as Reinkaka Kunwe brings, but has been very effective. Knocks two down, puts the Dominican on the board, 13-2. Dominican going into the press. Jamie Scott into the game. You see much more ball movement taking place than we saw yesterday from Canada. Plus Sammy Hill going strong to the basket, strong spin move in, attacking the basket. Very, very confidently will go to the line for two.
Yeah, they've definitely had more easy looks and a bit smoother offense so far here today in comparison to Puerto Rico yesterday.
Yeah, you have to look at, again, and give all the credit to the now qualified Puerto Rican team and the effort that they brought yesterday against. This is the kind of performance I think everyone came to the Expo Center yesterday expecting from Canada, and Puerto Rico simply wouldn't let it happen.
And I'm guilty of that as well. I thought that it was going to be a 15, 20-point spread, and every time you thought Canada had a little bit of momentum and a little bit of control of the game, Puerto Rico hit a big shot and put them right back in contention. It was really impressive performance by Puerto Rico.
It really was, and it was big shots and big stops by Puerto Rico on the defensive end, never allowing that kind of penetration, that kind of free movement in the lane. So the Dominican Republic, they're making their adjustments. Running a nice set out of the corner. Beautiful shot from downtown from Chaisy Hernandez. Nails a three, 15-5. You know, you talk about great starts. Canada obviously feels a sense that they need to reassert themselves, reestablish themselves. But the Dominican has come back to play, and they've gathered themselves and have cut the margin from 10 or 11 points down to an 8-point differential. So they've lost their nerves, and now they're here to play.
And that can go a long way, too. You know, this isn't, like you said, really a no-pressure game for either team. It's just playing for pride and playing for your country and for Canadians on home soil. And just the fight and competition level that's come out so far. And this is why these women play at this level, because it doesn't matter what they're playing for. They're here to play no matter what.
Absolutely. Number 15, Suhere Monsac, beautiful spin move, cutting it to 6. Beautiful spin move inside. Unfortunately, she just went down hard. She'll be back up, I think. Don't think there's any injury.
I think it was more upset about the call.
I think that, that's exactly what it was. She was upset over the call. Canada retains possession of the basketball. That's the 4th personal foul on the Dominican Republic. Canada thus far only one. 5:13 to go, 15-9, Canada. Canada with the 14-second clock in their half-court set. Make a couple of substitutions. Ruth Hamblin into the game. Pellington in as well. Miranda Aim, nice look. Just about, very nice look. So we've got 4 new players on for Team Canada. Hamblin keeps it alive. Aim hit in the face. A little bit of a jolt. Pellington bringing it up. Has a very relentless attack style. Great step off the dribble, Kira. She has the ability to accelerate off the dribble, I think, about as well as anybody in the tournament.
She is so athletic. She's 5'8", and yesterday she ran down the floor and just, play was dead, just ran up, grabbed the rim. That is absurd.
It really is. She is a great athlete.
And she showed that in her defensive prowess against O'Neill yesterday. She was one of the 3, or one of, I'm sure there were a few more as well, but 3 of note that were guarding O'Neill, and she was actually guarding her at the end of the game. So lots of confidence in her from the coaching staff to go in and do a job, because when it came down to it and they needed defensive stops, she was on the floor.
100%. And her quickness and her competitiveness, she's a very tenacious competitor. Ruth Hamblin had a seal on the inside. Pellington passed the ball into her. It was just one of the great things that Ruth has done to improve her game is she really has learned how to be a power post player, establish her presence around the basket, Now she's going to be rewarded with 2 free throws. Ruth plays in Siberia, played at Oregon State, had a great career there, and has really evolved into that big post player that Canada wants to have as one of their weapons to go to.
When I was doing a little bit of digging on some of the players before this tournament, I came across a high school stat of Ruth's, and she averaged, and on the podcast, he made sure to say this isn't a mistake. She averaged 11 blocks a game, and that is exactly why.
Good hustle by Ruth right there, able to maintain control of the basketball. Nice feed. Pellington to IM cutting to the basket. That will send IM to the free throw line. Pellington again, finding her cutting teammate, rewarding her teammate for running the court as hard as she was. And when you have that confidence in each other, Kira, that you know you run the court, that you're going to get rewarded, you're going to run the court every time.
Yeah, and the fitness of the Canadian athletes reflects that they like to run the floor as well.
Yeah, they do, and their depth, their fitness, their depth, that's something that Canada brings to the table that has led them to this number 4 ranking, is they can go so many players deep every game. So you can send waves out of really athletic, fit people, fit women that are going to get up and down the court for 40 minutes.
That's one thing I noticed too. You look, all the Canadian women standing next to each other waiting for the game to start, and they look like Olympians.
Very much so. That's a good point.
Yeah, they do. It's very impressive looking down that line of athletes, and they look like Olympians.
Yeah, they do. They know there's a whole different feel for this program. They are doing so many great things. Ruth on the inside again, sealing hard on the inside. Jamie Scott looking in. Nice post feed, resulting in another foul. Now we're at 5. That's going to send Ruth to the line again for 2 more free throws as Canada is in the bonus with 3:12 left to go. First quarter, 21-9, Canada over the Dominican Republic. As I mentioned, Dominican Republic is ranked 40th in FIBA in the world. They have a proud tradition of basketball in the Dominican Republic. A number of Americans come down and play as well. So this is a country that's really trying to build, really trying to inspire its youth, and really try to raise its, not only its ranking, but its national level of play.
I think I talked about this yesterday a little bit during the Canada game, but how every team that's come before this team obviously plays a very pivotal role in growing women's basketball and inspiring younger generations of girls. But I really do find that the women involved on this team, they're starting to get the exposure, are starting to get the attention that they deserve, and it's a turning point in women's sport, and it's very exciting to come here and see this and see all the young girls sitting in the stands and having these idols that are finally getting the attention and respect that they deserve as athletes.
100%. Saisi Hernandez hitting a 3. Miranda Ayam on a nice post feed into Ruth Hamlin, who has come out and is playing with so much confidence. Ruth scoring around the basket. 2:36 to go, 13-point lead for Canada. Ruth sealing the inside, making it very difficult for the Dominican to get to the rim. Turnover Dominican. Miranda looking up. Ruth handling the ball. Kia trying to finish, unable to. Hustle on the play for the Dominican. Going to the hoop hard, a little bit out of control. Dominican retains possession, rather. 2:06 left. Pellington in for Jamie Scott. Ramirez in as well for the Dominican Republic. Both teams going to their bench early today, Kira.
Day 3.
Hernandez right there again. She's hit 2 threes already. Very confident look on that. She can obviously shoot the basketball. The emphasis. I'm going to be curious to watch that, because I'm curious whether that That looked to me like a good seal.
Oh.
That looked like a good seal. Now maybe they saw something. I think the official saw a hold on that. I didn't see, but hey, that's okay. Whenever you have players locking arms in the post, there's going to be a call, and sometimes that's the call that's going to be made.
And sometimes when you're, not that I know from experience, but I did play with one of the posts to play in CIS or U Sport, Dallas Emerson, and sometimes calls just don't go your way when you're bigger than the person
That's
defending
exactly
you. And
right.
that's definitely something I learned from playing with her.
Absolutely right. We have a couple of new subs into the game. Aaliyah Edwards, 17-year-old, into the game for Canada, going to be playing at the University of Connecticut, one of the top programs in the country. Quinn Dornstouter is also in the game for the first time that I've seen her this weekend. So Quinn is in the game as well. So Lisa Tomaitis going deep to her bench early, trying to blend the experience of Raincock-Akunwa with Kia Nurse, and giving some valuable playing time for Dornstouter, for Edwards, and with the three veterans as well. So going to blend youth and experience together.
And what a great opportunity to be able to do that.
Edwards is just tough. Just tough. That's a 17-year-old young lady. And she is athletic. She's confident. She's well-spoken. Her basketball IQ is through the roof. She has just got such a brilliant future ahead of her, not just for Team Canada, but the University of Connecticut. Dornstetter over to help, but foul going to the basket. Nice take by number 23 for the Dominican Republic, Jennifer Ramirez. She'll go to the line shooting 2.
And for those that don't know, UConn, an absolute NCAA women's powerhouse.
Juggernaut.
Absolute powerhouse. Kia Nurse attended there, won 2 national championships, I believe, in her 4-year stint. So very impressive for Aaliyah Edwards to have committed there, because it's a very impressive program.
Very impressive program. Tradition, have been dominant for years and years. I believe their win streak was broken during Kia's tenure at 110 consecutive games. I mean, the numbers are just staggering. I think, though, it is symbolic that we have to use the term contender, perennial contender, as opposed to perennial champion for UConn. It shows how the women's game has developed in Division I. Kia squares up on her shot, nice looking. Edwards following up once again.
Well done.
Very active around the rim, so athletic, so quick to the ball. Good springs, but great sense for the ball. And when you look at her on defense, her footwork on defense for a 17-year-old is really phenomenal.
And not only her footwork, but being able to use her length effectively while keeping pace. I'm not sure who she was guarding on that drive, but she did such a good job of keeping pace, but also maintaining that distance so she didn't get blown by, but could still contend the pass and the shot if that's what they were looking for.
100%. Kia on the rebound, looking to push the pace as well. That's symbolic of what Kia does so well, is she welcomes physical contact out there and will control her defender with her ability. And speaking of ability, the ability to blow past your defender, and watching Pellenton is something quite special. How she can turn the Jets on, get to the rim, and then finish in traffic. Great first quarter for Canada, 31-15. I think the way I would describe this, Kira, is dominant, definitely, by Canada, but not seeing the Dominican Republic team lay down either. They're out there competing.
Absolutely, and what a great opportunity for them as well. We kind of discussed that before the game started, but they have an opportunity to play against, an Olympic, hopefully an Olympic contender for a medal, and depending on the qualifying tournament, obviously, but that doesn't happen very often. You play a lot of games together internationally, and being able to come this far to a pre-qualifying tournament is a feat, and it's very impressive. And when you have an opportunity to play against a team like this, you want to have all cylinders firing and playing really well and learn as much as you can from them and against them, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're not laying over at all, and they're putting up a fight.
100%. Now, you played for Coach Lisa Tomaitis in your
I did.
college basketball. In situations like this where your team had a clear advantage over an opponent, how did Coach Tomaitis handle your team? How did she keep you focused and motivated to make sure not just that you won the game, but that you were improving while you were winning the game?
Well, it would depend on the type of game. If it was a bit of a blowout, you could never do good enough. There's always mistakes that are being made that shouldn't be made, and there's always things to clean up. In this one, obviously, it's not a blowout. It's only 16-point difference. But focusing on the game plan, not so much what the Dominican Republic is doing, but sticking to the game plan and doing everything that you plan on doing in this game properly. Crisp passes, good open looks, good decision making, all of those things. You don't want to build bad habits in a game that you have control in. It's a chance for you to build your chemistry and cohesiveness, but you also don't want to build those bad habits. So just making sure that her players know that this game is an opportunity to learn. This is an opportunity to get better before they separate and go back to their pro teams, and they need to take advantage of it, and no game should be taken for granted.
Well, it certainly isn't being taken for granted today. Canadians have embraced the challenge, as have the Dominican Republic players. As we go into quarter number 2, Kia Nurse, Reikaka-Kunwe out on the court, Dornstatter, Edwards, and Pellington, who runs it down and is going to turn it off to the races. Beautiful pass out to Pellington. Nice pass on the inside into. Great ball movement. Oh my gosh.
Almost everybody touched the ball twice in that possession.
What a wonderful possession by Canada. Embodies that team philosophy that they have, and they execute so well with the spectacular athletic response by Reikaka-Kunwe, who just is such an elite jumper, and her ability and her timing for the rebounding of the basketball is incredible. Number 7, Frias hits the 3. 18-33. Canada maintains the lead at 15. Dornstatter on the inside, unable to finish. Her first real point look on a nice interior pass from Edwards. 4 players coming in for Canada. Achunwa, Bridget Carlton, Jamie Scott, Sammy Hill in. They're going to leave in Reikaka-Kunwe, and the other 4 Canadians have a seat. Nice execution, looking for Natalie Achunwa on the cut on the inside. Maybe had it, but weren't able to execute. Canada will get the ball back on the baseline. 11 seconds left on the shot clock.
I think that last 3 was actually Evangelista.
Evangelista, okay, my mistake. Natalie Achunwa finding her rhythm today. Very comfortable out there, very confident. Beautiful stroke, nothing but net. Jamie Scott on the steal, taking the ball to the hoop. Nice finish. Scott known for her shooting ability, but also very high basketball IQ. Uses angles really well on defense. Nicely contended by Sammy Hill. Scott on the rebound. Intentional foul called on FIBA. That foul gets called a lot faster now than it used to, and I know the motivation behind it is to make sure that you're always keeping the player's safety at the forefront of the play.
And yesterday, De Los Angeles had a tough time with fouling out of her game against Cuba. And very vocal to the refs about her displeasure as well. But intense and emotional, and you need those types of players on your team too sometimes to rally someone and really have that grit.
100% correct. Canada up 37-18. They've extended their lead to 19. And I think, Kira, if the takeaway from this is, number 1, Canada at number 4 in the world rankings certainly has found its place among the elite in the world. But they have vulnerabilities as well as Puerto Rico. I won't say exposed, but they showed that if you take certain tendencies away from Canada, that they may struggle at times. And so I know that's heavy on Coach Tomaitis' mind, is what are we going to learn to make sure that next time when somebody throws in a defense that takes us out of what we want to do, how do we counter that?
And I think that the game against Puerto Rico would be a good game plan or like studying tip for other teams that will be taking on Canada moving forward, just because Puerto Rico did such a good job with a tough matchup for them. So that's something moving forward that they're probably going to see more of. And guaranteed Lisa spent a long time last night going through the film and coming up with solutions to those issues. But luckily the Canada roster is deep enough, is gritty enough, and competitive enough that they were able to battle through it and find a win, even though they were really thrown off their game.
Anna de Los Angeles just was at the free throw line. I guess I misinterpreted what happened there. I thought the intentional was on the Dominican Republic, and instead it was on Canada. So had 2 free throws and got possession with the basketball. 8:02, Sammy Hill kicking the ball out of bounds. Dominican retains possession, still 14 seconds on the shot clock. 37-19, 8:02 to go. Good pressure on the out of bounds. Such great feet. Ringkaka-Kunwe. Frias, there's that deflection I was talking about in game 1, that when you deflect the ball and you take away a clear cutting lane, that can disrupt the play. Now, even there was a foul on this. The other opportunity it could create is a chance for a turnover.
And Dominican Republic, when they played Cuba yesterday, did a great job of getting tons of touches on passes, on shots. It just seemed like they were everywhere. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pull out a win against Cuba, but they were smothering in their defense, and their touches on passes and everything were so effective.
Reynoso at the line, buries the first one, cuts the difference to 17 points, has number 2 on the way. Canada basketball has assembled such an outstanding coaching staff, and one of the parts of the, I don't want to say it's exactly a formula, but they've developed such a pipeline of great players, but also of great coaches. And they created a culture that is incredible, where if a player's hurt or a coach isn't available, someone else is able to step in and pick up right where they left off. They built such a deep pool of talent at all levels that I think that's the result. The result of that is the number 4 ranking in the world.
And you talk about the culture, and I think the way that Lisa built her culture at the U of S is very similar to how she builds it on this national team, mirror sort of programs. But it's not just about the basketball either. Everyone on this roster, I think everyone that I had kind of seen was an all academic, was winning community awards. This year, Achunwa won the WNBA Community Assist Award for her mental health awareness and educating and empowering young women. And those are such amazing things that these women do off the floor. And I
women of character, no doubt about it. Achunwa just had her number raised to the Raptors at Notre Dame. I think one of the very few women who have received that honor at the University of Notre Dame in their storied Fighting Irish tradition they've developed into, along with University of Connecticut and a couple of other schools down south, into the true powerhouses, and Natalie Achunwa was a big part of building that tradition. Raincock Achunwa burying it.
One of the coolest things that I came across was when Achunwa tore her ACL in her senior year, and there's a clip when she goes down, and the second she goes down, she pretty much pops up and rallies her teammates because it's an important game, it's a close game, and it's not about her. And it just demonstrated her leadership and her ability to rally her teammates, and it makes complete sense that she went up into the rafters because it was so impressive to watch that. Tearing your ACL and going down in such a pivotal moment in your senior year, but being able to flip, being able to flip that switch and you know, walk out of the gym. She walked out of the gym after she went down, after yelling at her teammates, and it was a really amazing clip to watch, and I'm really grateful I got to see it.
She's deserving of the award rather. There'll be much more in her career that we're going to watch. And again, finding the open player, Carlton, who is automatic from there, great player at Iowa State, had a phenomenal career down there. Absolutely love her in Ames, Iowa. Being from the state of Iowa myself, I can tell you about how she is just absolutely so respected. Such a character person from Chatham, Ontario. Great defense, purposeful defense by Canada. Nice pass, though, high-low, nice back cut by number 2, Maria Marte. 23-point lead. Jamie Scott, money in the bank. Such a great shooter, great rotation on the basketball. Sammy Hill making something happen. Nice steal on the reverse pass out of bounds. She'll go to the line for 2. We're seeing that. It's not that we didn't see the extra effort yesterday. It's just that Puerto Rico matched the effort that Canada had. And I think when you're a team that's so heavily favored, sometimes when the other team gets the belief that Puerto Rico had yesterday, Kira, that they start playing really above where you would normally expect them to be, punching above their weight, if you will. And Puerto Rico definitely did that, but Canada has found itself again today, and they are the aggressor, and they are dictating the pace of the game.
And I think as a team that's going up against a heavily favored Canada, like when we talk about Puerto Rico, if you're able to hang around until the last few minutes, then all of a sudden the pressure is on Canada. All of a sudden the pressure to perform, because what they're expected to do in that game, is quite a bit higher than what the expectations of Puerto Rico. And so if you're able to hang in there until the last kind of few minutes or the last quarter, you just never know what can happen. Pressure is a crazy thing.
It is. Ruth Hamblin with the foul. Sealing on the inside. Number 1, Hernandez, has had a nice first half, scoring again on penetration. 26-point lead for Canada, 5 minutes to go in the first half. This game doesn't mean anything in terms of whether or not Canada is going to the Olympic qualifier. That's already happened. Beautiful give and go on the part of the Dominican Republic. But they're playing for pride, as you've said, Kara. They're playing to improve. They're playing to grow as a team. Nice effort by number 23, Ramirez of the Dominican Republic, to tie Ruth Hamblin up in the low block. And I think one of the things that coaches always emphasize with their post players is make sure you're chesting the ball, make sure you're taking care of it so a defender can't come in and attack it low.
Not that I was ever one of the tallest, but that was really pounded into your post players. Keep it up high so that the little guards can't come in there and swipe it out of your hands.
That's right. Chin the ball, which Ruth Hamblin, again, redemption, as nice give and go, slips to the basket, finishes. Put Canada to double the score for Canada, 52-26. Good defense. Scott is all over the place. You can see her nose for the ball is so apparent. Miranda Iam on the take. I think they must have called an offensive foul on Miranda for her extending her arm on her drive. So the foul on Canada, that's 4 team fouls on Canada. Only the first on Miranda. Bridget Carlton out of the game. Kim Gauthier, long-time Canada basketball member. Pellington using those quicks so effectively, stealing the ball, easy basket, easy layup. This is where the just raw athleticism of Canada, as well as the skill, could take a game over and force a lot of turnovers quickly, Kira. You can see Dominican Republic is really struggling right now with the pressure Canada has on them. They have a couple of their younger players in there that seem quite flustered right now. Canada's lineup isn't missing a beat.
They seem like they've got a little bit more oomph as well.
They do. And that oomph is hard to duplicate if you're hitting shots. Ruth doing a great job of seeing over the defense, finding Pellington open in the corner. She knocks it down from the three-point line, so 3:12 to go, 57-26, Canada. What we were talking about before in terms of how Lisa Tomaitis tries to motivate her team. You know she's going to pick on that play and tell Jamie that she turned her head, lost the ball man principle, but then Jamie's going to come back and say, yeah, coach, but I went down and I hit the three right after that. So, and if I know Lisa, she'll say, that doesn't matter. You got to work on the defensive side.
That's great. Good for you, but.
But, yes, that's exactly right.
Her attention to detail, Coach Tomaitis, is
incredible.
Second to none.
Second to none. I've watched Lisa run practices many, many times. I tell everybody who will listen, she's one of the finest coaches I've ever seen. Not just in a technical sense, in a teaching sense, the way she owns the team, the way she owns the room, the way she motivates her players, motivates her staff, creates a culture of cohesion, a culture of belief, a culture of confidence and enjoyment. Lisa Tomaitis is one of the fine women's basketball coaches in the world.
I definitely am grateful that I got to play for her for the 3 years that I did, and you learn so much, obviously, about the game of basketball, but just the confidence that she has is absolutely contagious, and it's just, she is so empowering. And that, like the basketball side, I loved the basketball. I loved everything that we were able to do and the successes that we had, but it was the life lessons, it was the confidence that she instills in her players that I am most grateful for.
Well, and what an opportunity to be able to, or what a memory to be able to say that's who you played for, that's who your coach. 60-26, Canada is of course running away with this, but we're trying to focus on, along with Canada, what they're trying to do, which is to improve all aspects of their game as they head back to their pro teams. Nice fadeaway jump shot there. Canada now, Pellington Gauthier in the corner. Such a great shooter. Kia squaring up. Kia hasn't had a rhythm the last two games, but we all know that's just a matter of time till she gets it back.
And Canada's struggling a little bit from the three overall this weekend. Yesterday, it improved as the game went on, but never really a stellar percentage. Again, that goes some credit to Puerto Rico for being able to disrupt that, but hasn't been a huge contributing factor in their games throughout the weekend.
Today, this game has been quite good for Canada. They have been able to knock down threes, like you said, that they haven't to this point. Yesterday was a knockdown, drag them out, grit-driven victory that you had to scratch and claw to.
And you need those games.
Beautiful shot. Yeah, you do. You got to learn how to win then when you're not at your best. You got to find a way to win, and Canada did that. Beautiful finish. Beautiful finish by Kim Gauthier on the teardrop. Not able to finish by the Dominican. They're battling on the boards. Canada forcing the turnover, 47 seconds to go, 62-28. Pellington with the ball. Dornstetter going to work in the low block.
Nice pass.
Very nice pass. Quinn with the shot.
Pellington is impressive today.
Oh, she's all over the place, and her ability, again, nose for the basketball, aggressively going after it, keeping engaged in every play. And from a fan's standpoint, we have another great crowd today, but you have to be proud of this Canadian team that they're putting out this kind of effort in front of their countrymen to make sure that they have made this trip worthwhile for them to come and watch them play. They're really rewarding the spectators with a top-flight effort.
And since
Edmonton became their home base. They are 11-0 now, I believe, or maybe was it 12-0 now as of yesterday?
You know what? I don't
12-0.
know, but I know the O.
Yeah.
That part of it I know.
I'm pretty sure it was 10 coming into this tournament, and so it should be 12-0 since Edmonton became home base, and I think that's something they'd like to continue.
Well, 100%, and it's great to be in the Expo Center. The Saville Center has been fantastic as a home, but in terms of a high-level international venue, this is special. And for the Stingers, the Expo Center, the city of Edmonton, to throw the support, to put the resources into converting this building and arena into such a great viewing venue is really fantastic.
The atmosphere it creates is awesome, and we learned that from the Canadian Elite Basketball League, the Stingers, all summer. Just how loud and how excited this venue can get, and I think it was a really smart decision to have it here instead of at the Saville Center, as beautiful as that center is.
No question about it. Now we have a technical foul being shot. I didn't see the replay on that. I didn't see what happened with the technical, what the call was exactly, but there was a technical called, and now we've got free throw, 2 free throws coming for the Dominican with 22 seconds left in the half.
I don't know for sure, but the way Nurse was looking there, I think it might have been on her. Which I like. I like that she has that fire and that competitiveness that...
Well, there's no doubt about Kia Nurse's competitiveness. I would agree with that. I am on the beautiful back cut. Jordan Sutter battling for the board, unable to secure it. One more opportunity for the Dominican Republic. That will be the end of the first half. Three-quarter court shot taken, almost went. Overwhelming performance by Canada. 63-29 at halftime here, Expo Center, Women's Olympic, FIBA Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament. So proud to have it here in Canada. The men are going to be back in Canada as well for their next qualifying event for the Olympics out in Victoria. That's a very exciting development coming up. It's just great to see basketball on the international stage being played consistently in our country. And we have all hope that that is going to continue with our national teams, with 3x3. So much to look forward to for basketball coming on.
Yeah, Canada's really, basketball's very exciting in Canada right now. We had the Raptors win last year. Our women's team, 4th in the world, best ever that they've ever had. We have tons of players in the WNBA and the NBA. It's a very exciting time for basketball in Canada, and about time. It's about time.
Getting its due. I know, of course, that the Raptors are the low-hanging fruit in terms of what you can refer to in Canada as really driving the popularity. But you mentioned about the women being here and being 11 or 12-0 in Edmonton. They've been here. This is their 7th year where they've made this their home in our community. Since then, in Edmonton, women's participation, girls' participation has gone way up. Basketball participation, thanks to the women in our community, but also the Raptors, way up. So you're right, Kira. It's about time. It's great to see. It's great to be a part of. So what an exciting first half. We'll take a break right now, and we'll come back for half number 2 with Canada up 63-29. Kira Lyons, Paul Sir joining you for the FIBA Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament here in Edmonton, Alberta.
On the floor. On the floor.
Got me some type of way. It's just a feeling this way. I do not know what to say. But you know I should be. So one look at your face. Now I wanna know how you taste it. Usually don't give it away. But you know about it. Then I realize she's right there. And all that I'm like, damn, this ain't fair. Wake up, touch your girlfriend. Cause I'm bored. You can hit it in the morning. Like it's yours. I know it ain't right, but I don't care. Wake up, put your girlfriend. Cause I'm bored. This shit always happened to me. Why can't we just play for keeps? Practically on my knees, But I know I shouldn't think about it. You know what you're doing to me. You're singing my songs in the streets, acting on innocent beats. When I know I do right. Then you realize she's right there. And you're at home like that. She ain't there. Wake up, touch your girlfriend. Cause I'm bored. You can hit it in the morning. Like it's yours. I know it ain't right, but I don't care.
She tired, little money, need a big boy. Pull up 20-inch blades like I'm Lil Troy. Now it's everybody flocking, need a decoy. Shorty mixing up the vodka with the liquor.
Toyota, the proud mobility partner of Canada Basketball. Toyota's partnership with Canada Basketball represents their commitment to mobility and movement for all through vehicles, sports experiences, and more.
As you walk, see me winning. See the igloo in my mouth and I be grinning. Yeah. On the bands in my pocket, it's on me. On the deep when I roll like the army. Get more bottles, these bottles are lonely.
Welcome back. We're here at the Expo Center, Edmonton, Alberta. Women's Olympic pre-qualifying FIBA Tournament Canada 2019. 63-29 at halftime, Canada in favor in a rout. But as Kira Lyons, my associate today, and I are talking, certainly it's a competitive game. The purpose of the game is to win. But there are so many other aspects to this game, Kira, that stand out in terms of what Canada is trying to accomplish, but also the Dominican Republic. So take me through your thoughts, Kira, of what the Dominican Republic coach could be saying to her players right now.
It's tough coming into a second half being down 34 as they are right now, but I think they just need to keep their confidence up. They need to continue to fight, continue to battle, do the small things, hit their box outs, win those 50-50 balls, and just try and stay in it and learn from this Canadian team and understand the compete level that they bring every single day. And it's a tough matchup, like we had talked about, like Dominican a little bit outmatched here today, but they're fighting for pride, they're fighting for experience, and there's a lot on the line in that aspect as opposed to, you know, a trip to the Olympic qualifiers. But it's about pride, it's about being able to battle through games that, you know, aren't that important, but it's important for your team chemistry and just the growth of your program.
Well put. Canada's going with the starting lineup they had at the beginning of the game. Carlton, Ringkakakunwa, Nurse, Achanwa, and Hill. Good shuffle cut, up and under. Nice putback by the Dominican player, number 2, Maria Marte. opens up the scoring in the second half. Canada, as I said, with their original starting lineup. Dominican remains in their man-to-man defense. Canada working on quick ball reversal, cutting some Princeton actions, moved in with their motion offense. Sammy Hill, nice lip fake, goes to the basket, finishes.
And one thing we were talking about at the break and just looking at the statistic breakdown, a lot of different people contributing. Almost every single person that has stepped on the floor has scored. There is so much ball movement. Everyone is touching the floor, most possessions, and it's very well distributed through the Canadian roster, and that is exactly what you want.
Exactly what you want, and I know exactly what Coach Tomaitis likes. And also, I think it's safe to say it's what the team likes. They really take pride in their willingness to share the basketball, to be great teammates, to make sure everybody feels involved and in the game at all times. So I couldn't agree with you more. Having that kind of distribution of scoring in the first half is the ideal scenario for Canada.
And they have so many players that are incredibly dynamic, that can bring the ball up, great ball handling, great shooting. So it's something that they are definitely capable of every night they step on the floor, because everyone is so talented and they do such a good job of moving the ball and finding each other. But it's, it wasn't quite like that yesterday against Puerto Rico, so it's nice to see they're sharing so well and everyone contributing.
Sammy Hill, her second basket of the half. Sammy Hill, who plays in Germany, is joined by 4 WNBA players right now on the court. All 4 other Canadian women are in the WNBA. But what I love about Sammy Hill is her effort, her leadership. She has really grown in confidence to the point she can be on the court with 4 WNBA players and really gives you that sense that she is the quarterback of the team and the floor general right now.
Absolutely, and she has done such a fantastic job, both quarterbacking but also defensively all week.
All week long, absolutely. Number 23, Jennifer Ramirez, scoring on a putback. Ramirez appears to be battling a little bit of an injury issue, might be an ankle. She's had a noticeable limp most of the game, but she's hung in there, and she keeps moving and working hard. So I give her a lot of credit for her level of compete, because in a situation like this, as she goes off now, probably because of how she's struggling right now physically, but she's been fighting that all game, and I always respect players who are out there, again, no matter what, competing for your team.
And I don't know if it was something that happened before, but yesterday, with about 2.5 minutes left in the game against Cuba, was when she rolled it, and she wanted to stay. She was trying to, walk it off as if you just rolled it, because there's a difference between rolling it and spraining it, and sometimes you just need to take a few steps and kind of grin and bear it, and it'll pass.
Work your way through it.
Yeah, but she ended up coming off, and I think that's probably the same thing that she's dealing with today. So it wasn't just a roll. I think she sprained it.
She must have, because she's definitely, a player who the Dominican Republic looks to. Beautiful move by Rain Kakukomwe. She was fabulous last night for Canada. She's continuing that level of play here. What I really admire about her is, having watched her over the past few years, is her incremental commitment to improvement. She just keeps getting better and better, to the point now where she's a legitimate WNBA player. She played at Simon Fraser, so she's someone who stayed at home in Canada, and her improvement keeps getting better and better, and such an impactful, important part of this Canadian roster.
One thing that impresses me with her so much is her ability to square her shoulders when finishing. It doesn't matter the small amount of space, she finds a way to get her shoulders square and give herself a very good chance of finishing, because she, like we talked about before, and a great steal.
And, Natalie Achunwa, great steal right to the basket. Almost an and one, not quite, but an outstanding defensive play by Natalie Achunwa. Excellent effort. That's one thing that we're seeing today, Kira, is how the Canadian women really are recognizing of jumping the passing lanes. They really want to force the Dominican Republic with pressure on the ball and then pressure on the wing to have to make difficult passes, and that's resulted in a number of not only steals but easy scoring opportunities.
And when you're able to play the game like that, it's so much fun. When you're just reading everything.
When you mean when you're winning by a
well,
lot?
Of course, of course. But when you're able to shoot those lanes and get
Absolutely.
steals, but there's also that line of you don't want to build bad habits in a game like this either. You want to make sure
Right.
that if you're going for a ball in that situation that you're going to get it, because it's not something you can get away with as you continue forward against higher ranked teams.
100% agreement. Nice look. Renkaka Kunwe passing to Chanwa, not able to capitalize on the free throw.
Oh,
This is also where you get concerned a bit that when you get a game that gets a bit ragged in its execution, that obviously you never want a player to get hurt. This is when this kind of effort, though, can result in unfortunate collisions, unintended collisions on the court, which I know is exactly what Coach Tomaitis wants to avoid. So turnover, once again, Canada gets the ball back, sticking with their starting lineup in the second half with 6:48 to go. Bridget Carlton, that's money in the bank for Bridget. So once again, making her deposit, and Bridget has found her rhythm today. You can really see why she was one of the top wings last year in the NCAA, nominated for many, many awards, winning many, many awards. Bridget Carlton, such an outstanding citizen. It's a great story about Bridget. Iowa State University went to Chatham, Ontario, and played a Division I basketball game in her high school gym. Downtown, Sammy Hill. Sammy is playing with supreme confidence today.
I love watching her play basketball.
I do too.
I really do. There's so much grit and heart, but so smart and confident. She's a treat to watch.
Well, and what I like her in the moment style of play, like whether she makes a mistake or has a successful play, whatever it is, you always see her engaged in the moment. She really has that mentality of playing hard in the moment, playing hard every moment.
And someone who has, battled and come a long way to be on the senior women's national team. And like you said, a lot of these women she's on the floor with are WNBA stars, and she is out there with confidence, and that's not an easy thing to do with playing with those level of players, and that just goes to show her mental toughness and her determination.
100% right. And Sammy Hill continues to show improvement, starting point guard in all games so far this weekend for Canada. Ruth Hamblin doing what she's supposed to do, which is plug up the middle. We're going to get a shot clock adjustment right now as the ball did not touch the rim. So the officials are going to consult, put the appropriate time on the shot clock, and reset.
That part always impressed me with officials, is fixing the clock and knowing almost exactly where it needs to go. It just shows their awareness, because I wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, and I think to that point, Kira, the integration of technology more into the game. I know it's a fine line of you don't want it to disrupt the flow of the game, but on the flip side, you want to get it right. So in a situation like this, to be able to, in this case, whether they went to technology or not, but whether it's reviews or whatever that you see more commonly in sport now, they want to make sure they're getting the right call, they're giving the right amount of time. Now we're down to 7 seconds. So with 5:22 left to go in the first half, 7 seconds on the shot clock, the Dominican Republic's basketball. Jimenez with the ball. Number 23, Ramirez, back in the game, unfortunately unable to get the ball on the rim. Another turnover to Canada, 76-33. Canada with about 5 minutes to go. Canada with substitutions, Hamblin in the game, Jamie Scott, Kim Gauthier, Miranda Ayem, Pellington. So the second line is in, but when you say second line, it's more reload than substitute. Because this team would be a great starting lineup any day of the week. Kim obviously is looking to be a mentor out there right now, not really looking to hunt her shot. Ruth Hamlin, however, is, and successfully doing so. But you can see Miranda and Kim out there really working with the younger players to give them confidence, to help them understand the system, help them understand what it's like to play in a FIBA Olympic qualifying event.
And we talk about like the second wave, and Kim Gauche, Miranda Ayim, and Ruth Hamlin have all played in the WNBA as well. So we have 5 active players on Canada, but 9 that have played. And so the second lineup still incredibly impressive.
No question about it. Ayim from Pellington, Kim Gauche leading the break, getting the ball up court, making that 2-on-1 possible. I think if I could qualify what I would say the way the fans are observing this game, there's still traditional fan response, excited when good plays are made. But I also think people are thoroughly enjoying watching how hard the women are playing, watching how well they're playing, and still being respectful to the Dominican Republic. For this kind of game where it's a blowout, it's the ideal situation where there's engagement and enjoyment from the fans, involvement and commitment from the players, but also respect for your opponent.
And I think that that's something that Canada really prides itself on across the board, whether it's hockey, basketball, whatever it is that we as Canadians are taught to compete hard and show respect to your opponents, but you aren't there to embarrass them. You aren't there to disrespect them or disrespect the sport, and I think we do that very well. And I think Lisa Tomaitis has an immense respect for the sport and immense respect for opponents, and that's not something she would ever promote either.
No, not at all. I think the culture, again, I refer back to the history because I've been around the program and involved on the community level with helping bring the women's national team to Edmonton. And over the course of their duration of being in our community, that just shines through like a bright spotlight of the character, the gratitude, the humility, the respect, and the work ethic that the women's team brings to our community, to our country, and to FIBA in general. That this is just a special group of people, very committed to the sport, very committed for all the right reasons. Like I still want to do the old thumbtack and string on a map of where everyone came from for this event and calculate the number of kilometers people travel, because it's got to be hundreds of thousands when you accumulate what this team has sacrificed to be here in order to help leave no stone unturned, Kira, in order to qualify. They did not mess around because they could have sent another team here and thought, well, yeah, you know what? We may lose one, but we're going to be good enough to qualify for the next round. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted their best here.
And I think something that separates our women's national program from our men's is that the ultimate goal, I think, for most women who play this sport is to play for Team Canada, to put that jersey on and go to the Olympics and represent your country in the Olympic tournament. Whereas I think for a lot of men, it's the NBA. The NBA is the ultimate goal. That's their career surrounds the NBA. They don't want to risk injury, risk anything if they have a contract up. And I think that's a little bit different on the women's side, is that playing for Team Canada is the ultimate. That is what you want to do. You want to put that Canada jersey on and represent as best you can. And I think that separates the cultures a little bit, and in the way that they show up for tournaments like this to compete. They show up because they know how important it is for the development of the sport and of the program, and just they want to compete and medal at the Olympics.
I think that's a great point, Kira. The only asterisk I would add to it is there were a number of NBA players last year for the men who made the conscious decision not to play. But there were a number of players who wanted to play, most notably Jamal Murray. Nice shot downtown. Again, Hernandez hitting from deep. She's shot the ball really well for the Dominican. But what I was going to say, there were just a lot of injuries last summer. The team would have looked a lot differently if Kelly Olynyk, Dylan Brooks, Jamal Murray hadn't been injured and had been able to play, that had committed to play. R.J. Barrett had tweaked his ankle. I think the composition of the team this year for the men is going to be very different than it was last year. But I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I couldn't agree with you more. The consistent commitment of this women's team and what they're willing to do to be a part of it is unparalleled. And there again, a number 11 when they came to Edmonton in 2013 to number 4 today. And those are the toughest spots to move up.
Absolutely.
Is because of that commitment. 84-38, 3:05 to go. Canada continuing to apply the pressure, continuing to look to execute both ends of the basketball consistently. Ramirez back in, seems to feel a little bit better than she did before when she went out, when she looked kind of hobbled, still limping a bit. Turnover by the Dominican Republic against the swarming defense of Canada. Pellington, Ayem, Scott, Gauthier, and Hamblin on the court for Canada. Hernandez, Jimenez, Ramirez, Hernandez, and you know what? That's the first breakaway layup I've seen all night, which is a credit to the Dominican for not being relentless and looking for opportunities, but also to Canada for up till this point getting back. I'm sure that's one of those sequences that you'd hear about if you were on Lisa's team.
Yeah.
Jamie Scott, automatic.
Such a nice looking shot.
Oh, yeah, her action on her release is spectacular. Great rotation on the basketball. One of those players that when she misses, you're surprised.
Yeah.
Jimenez, nice contest by Ruth Hamblin. Jimenez hustling after her own rebound. Ruth playing the big like she should. Pellington leading the fast break. Nice drop to Ayem, a nice athletic move under the basket, shielding the ball with using the basket. She'll go to the line for 2.
Such good footwork.
Good footwork, the way she gathered, found the seam, went into the contact, shooting 2. Now we're going to see some substituting for Canada basketball. Dornstetter in, Edwards in, Pellington, Scott, along with Ayem, making up the 5 Canadians. De Los Angeles. Along with Rodriguez, joining the Dominican lineup. 1:43 to go. 47-point lead for Canada. Substitute in for the Dominican Republic. Charlene Frias in for the Dominican. Canada continuing the pressure. Now, one of the things you might say, Kira, is if you're watching it, why is Canada continuing the pressure? They're ahead. But this is where, this is where the reality comes in. This is international basketball. This is not the type of basketball where you worry about whether you're pressing at half court when you're up 20. You're trying to accomplish certain goals, and that's what Coach Tomaitis is doing. Is trying to motivate her team to keep the up-tempo, keep executing on both ends of the ball, keep driving the pace in order to push them forward as they get ready for the next round.
And I know certain clubs as well, if you take off that pressure just because of the score, it's almost like a disrespectful thing as well. They want to see you at your best the whole game because they've earned that type of respect. And these are things that Canada obviously wants to work on, and it's giving the Dominican Republic also a chance to learn how to deal with pressure.
100%. 100%. Like right now, the opportunity for Jimenez to go up against Pellington and her quickness is just fantastic.
And I think that's what this game for the Dominican Republic is about. It's about learning and moving forward as a program, and what better opportunity if Canada starts to slack off and not play as hard as they can. They're doing the Dominican Republic a disservice and doing themselves a disservice as well.
100%. Lack of respect. We're down to 20 seconds left in the third quarter. Edwards with a nice stroke. 17-year-old going to the University of Connecticut. Takes the 3, looked confident. I am on the hustle again, 7 seconds. Pellington getting to the rim.
Nice take.
I love her low, explosive move, and when she gets by her defender, she immediately dives into her defender and forces them to make a decision whether to foul her or to let her go to the basket. Such a tough move. I want to point out, too, that Quinn Dornstetter hit her first shot on the previous play, the previous basket for Canada. Nice, confident mid-range jump shot in the lane. Nice to see Quinn get rewarded again for being part of this team. She's gotten the fewest minutes, but she's coming in and she's battling and she's working hard and trying to contribute once again for Team Canada.
And that completes the full roster of scoring as well. So everyone who stepped on the floor for Canada has scored.
And there's a case again where Dornstadter's effort is rewarded by keeping the ball alive, tipping it to IM, who finishes at the buzzer to give a 93-42 lead, 51-point lead for Canada. And again, that's not what we're emphasizing as the main point. What we're saying is that Coach Tomaitis has Team Canada out here giving their best effort for themselves first, for the crowd second, because they want to they want everybody here to be rewarded. And that's the other thing I think that the respect that Lisa and her staff have is they know that people made a special trip, spent their money, spent their time to come here to watch them. So they're not going to give you anything other than your best effort.
Absolutely, and that's a culture of excellence. You don't get to be a team and a culture as successful as Team Canada with Coach Tomaitis without giving your best every single time you step on the floor, and that's just the definition of being a pro.
100% effort. We're going to see a highlight grouping right now of the excellent play that we've pointed out of Sammy Hill from the get-go. That was on the opening tip. But ever since then, it has been nothing but Sammy Hill being effective. Making the steal again. Sammy has just been outstanding, all aspects of the game. Nice lift fake, get to the rim. Sammy really mixes it up. As I mentioned before, she plays in Germany. But I think Sammy's future is just going to continue to get better and better as long as she plays, and that her level is going to go up and up because, as she indicates there, she can shoot it from deep, she can go to the hoop, she guards really well, she's a long point guard, she handles it well, sees the court really well, just a fantastic player.
And just as you said, she can finish inside, she hit some threes. She also had a couple jumpers in that little highlight pack as well, so she has weapons on every inch of that court at her disposal.
100%. Looking at the scoring distribution, Hernandez has been outstanding for the Dominican Republic. 5 for 9, 3 for 7 from 3, 15 points. Canada's led by Pellington's 13, but also Sammy Hill with 13, Ruth with 10, and then Bridget Carlton with 11. Bridget on a miss. Good hustle, though, by Dornstadter. Keep the ball alive, keep it in Canada's possession into Edwards. High-low inside, which Canada does so well. Quinn unable to steal. Edwards active. Great pass. Great. I know Dornstadter would like to have that back, but again, young post, getting it inside, learning how to finish. It's the key is Edwards bought into passing it into her open teammate and then followed up through her effort, made the play possible. Her resume already is unbelievable. MVP in the Basketball Without Borders event last year. Looked on as one of the great young age group people in the world in her age category. Making the steal right there. Passing the ball to Dornstadter in the transition. On the fast break, Quinn finishing, running the court really nicely. Sammy Hill once again making the steal.
Wow.
Sammy Hill again after the steal, hitting the three. Dornstadter shaking off the screen action, freed Sammy up, hits the shot, knocks it down 98.
We had a nice view of that one, a nice looking shot.
Beautiful, beautiful stroke. Technically sound. Canada Basketball has done a great job of working with their women on shooting the basketball. Sammy, one dribble from half. Misses one of her few misses of the evening.
Just stretched herself a little bit
Little
too thin.
Yeah. One dribble from half.
She was so close to getting it, though.
Absolutely. She pushed the ball out in front and went and got it.
That was as soon as she did that, her first initial push on that dribble was so far out in front of her. It was really impressive.
Absolutely was. Bridget Carlton on the follow-up off a long rebound off Kia's missed three. Kia's one of those players that you watch, and even when she's struggling a bit with her shot, you know Kia is out there. The other team knows Kia is out there. The other team is always worried about where Kia is, deservedly so, because it takes next to nothing for Kia to all of a sudden turn the game around on her own. We've seen it done so many times. Beautiful penetration by Edwards, dishing it off to Dornstatter, who's going to go to the line for two. You can see that Quinn fits in very nicely here, and I think one of the things I also like about Canada basketball and about this team and what Lisa's done is she has actions that are designed around traditional post players like Quinn and Ruth, and she utilizes them very effectively, where a lot of teams have gone to this 5-out action, lots of screen and roll, lots of one-on-one breakdown stuff, playing small ball. But Canada and Lisa really understand the value of bigs and what they can do around the basket in changing the game in so many ways, Kira.
And Lisa, obviously no stranger, as she herself was a big inside playing in university and also playing pro. So it's obviously something that's close to her heart, developing those bigs and making sure that they have effective impact.
Yeah, Lisa was a fine player in her own right, in her own day. Looking now at the ability Edwards brings. I mean, talk about athlete to athlete. You've got Edwards coming off, passing over to Nurse. Beautiful back step by Bridget. Dortsetter on the follow-up. Edwards on the follow-up as well. Both players, you know, it's one of those things, you'd like the shots to go in. The fact that they were getting the shots through their best efforts is fantastic, because both were on the ball, on the boards, on the ball, just relentlessly going after it.
And working so well together.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
little stint in there with Dornstatter and Edwards, working so well with one another. Not able to finish that last one, unfortunately, but like you said, like they're getting those looks, and that's what you want. That's what it's for.
That's right. That's right. That's what you want them being drawn to. A 60-point lead, 6:52 to go, 102-42 for Canada. Nurse, Ayem, Achanwa, Hill, and Carlton on the floor for Canada. Hernandez, Ramirez, Marte, Monsac on the court, and of course then Reynoso as well for the Dominican Republic. Jamie going to the rim, under control, low to the ground, finishing nicely. Hill and Scott pressuring the ball.
Fundamentals at high speed.
Fundamentals at high speed, that's very well put.
I stole that from Doug McLean yesterday.
There you go. Okay,
but
very
it's
good.
It's
good.
so true, the fundamentals at high speed. So.
I was just impressed that you said that, Kira. So
I stole it.
You stole it. That you could admit that is great. There we go. Natalie Achanwa finally gets, it's like there's been a web on the rim for a little bit, but Achanwa gets it going again for Canada. I think we're going to see Canada up until the end, playing full court, working as hard as they can, forcing the Dominican team to play at their best. Monsac. I am curious on this one. I want to see this, if this was in the charge circle or what I missed the replay, but it looked to me, unless she was in the charge circle, it looked quite obvious that Natalie, here we go.
Oh.
That is a curious call to me because she had 2 feet down outside of the charge circle and took the contact directly on the middle of her body. So
I think it was the other, because that was Monsac that ran into her. Was it not on the charge? And it was Reynoso that went to the line. So I think it was on the shot of Reynoso and not actually on the contact with Monsac. But
all right,
I might be incorrect on that, but that was kind of what I thought.
It must be, because what I saw didn't equate with what looked like was called anyway. Canada having the ball back, getting down to the 5-minute mark. Last 5 minutes of the FIBA Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament here in Edmonton, Alberta in the Expo Center. What a privilege, what a pleasure to watch Canada play along with the other fine teams that have been here. The Dominican Republic out here battling right now. Cuba, Puerto Rico, giving great games for our fans to watch. Natalie Achunwa on a nice give and go. That's, again, interesting. Now, maybe it was just incidental. So Canada basketball will be preparing for their February encounter in one of 4 locations in either Belgium, China, France, or Serbia. They'll be competing for an Olympic berth.
And the top, so each Olympic qualifying tournament has 4 teams, and the top 3 of those 4 get a berth to the Olympics. So if you find a way to a qualifying tournament, you give yourself a pretty good chance.
100%. That's why these games are so important. Like, you look at this and you think, here's a team that blew out all of these opponents, these very same opponents, most in a tournament recently in September. Why do they have to come back and play? Well, this is why you play. Even though Puerto Rico, as we've talked about a lot today, Kira, lost badly to Canada before. Yesterday they almost pulled off an upset. That's why you play the games. Now Canada put themselves in position to have a real good shot at qualifying for Tokyo in 2020.
And that's also why your full roster shows up for these tournaments. The one in September, Puerto Rico, when they played Puerto Rico, Achunwa and Nurse were both out.
Absolutely.
So logically thinking, you add them to the roster, play Puerto Rico again, and I'm sure Puerto Rico's roster changed as well, but you'd think that that would only add to the score differential, but it actually was quite the opposite. So that is why, you know, all of these amazing women come from all over the world to play in this tournament, because it's very important to them, it's important to the program, and they're needed.
100% correct. There was an example again on the last play where Renkaka-Kunwe hit the arm on the shot of Hernandez, who has shot the ball so well today. Hernandez from 3 has been very, very effective. Certainly the most effective Puerto Rican player, and now she's going to complete the 3rd of her 3 free throws after the foul on the 3-point shot. Hamblin, Renkaka-Kunwe in with Pellington, Jamie Scott, and Edwards. 3:56 to go, 106-48. I think the pride that Canada's taken in its defense today, they've never really allowed the Dominican Republic to get any kind of streak going. Their pressure has been consistent. It's been relentless, as it still is. Look at Edwards, into her footwork is really quite incredible. Great help side from Ruth Hamblin. Just what you want your big to do. Step in, plug the lane.
Wow.
Beautiful finish by Renkaka-Kunwe.
She is so good at just getting space under the rim so she can finish. And like I said before, squaring her shoulders, but she just uses her steps so effectively in her body, and it just looks so easy for her in those types of situations.
No question about it. Look at the Canadian basketball, the Canada basketball's defense right now, and the help side they have, the way they help each other out, the way they plug the lane. And as I say that, they miss a rebound and a putback by the Dominicans. So that's a credit more to the Dominican Republic than to the consistent, which we've seen all day, the consistent defensive effort on the part of Canada throughout this game and throughout this tournament.
And one thing that's so impressive, all of the teams here, but Canada especially, mostly because it's English that I'm hearing most of the time, is their communication. They are always talking, especially on defense. Their communication is just top-notch. They're always letting each other know, and it's so important for effective defense.
I couldn't agree with you more. As a former coach at a variety of levels, including university and professional, getting teams to want to talk is one of the most challenging habits to form.
It's a hard thing to do as a player, too.
Absolutely. It takes an extraordinary amount of concentration and effort.
And especially day 3 of a long week and jet lag, fatigue setting in, that's the first thing usually to go is the communication. But it's so important in generating momentum. That's when you need to talk, is when you're tired. That's when you need to talk to each other because you can't read each other's minds, and it just makes it more effective when your legs aren't necessarily there.
100% correct, and I think that again, the habits that they instill are the little things that in pressure situation can make such a difference in the outcome of what you're looking for. You're looking literally for every possible edge you can find in order to be successful, particularly when you're pursuing Olympic success. It's going to come down to little details and fine moments and not making mistakes at key times. Big to big inside. That's an imposing front line with Dornstarter, Hamlin, and Edwards for Canada.
A good amount of size and then speed. That's a tough lineup.
6'7", 6'6", 6'4". That's impressive and athletic, skilled.
And then you just throw Pellington in there, so you have the fastest person in the gym.
And a great shooter like Scott. Other than that, they're limited. Unlimited potential, unlimited possibilities for this team. Really such a brilliant future, not just for now, but for years and years to come. When you look at the team, the masterful blend of veteran leadership, youthful athleticism, skill, and then a pipeline filled of age group players that continue to excel for Canada.
Yeah, it's a beautiful mix, like you said, of,
Highlight film time.
Wow.
Sports Center time.
Not often you get kicked in the head and then able to finish it.
Impressive.
For a rim, both rims most of the week have been quite unforgiving. That was quite forgiving.
That was a forgiving rim. That's absolutely right. Jimenez with a tough shot. Credit to her. She remained tough. She remained composed. First class all the way on the part of the Dominican Republic. Still pressing at half court. They're matching and duplicating Canada's effort in that they have not given up. They have not given up.
No, it's great. I love the heart that they're showing in the grit. They are down a lot.
They're down a lot, and their teammates are up cheering, are so excited for the effort that's being put out there right now.
If you wouldn't know the score right now, you'd think this was a close game, and I think that is amazing on both sides, but Dominican Republic especially.
100% correctly.
Oh. And they're having fun. It
Both
looks
teams.
like they're having fun.
Both teams are having fun. I think the Canadian women are a little frustrated with themselves right now because they've missed a few bunnies down the stretch, but it is what it is, and the effort is still there. They're going 100%. Well, I'll tell you, out of nowhere, springing into action, that was fantastic.
Thought maybe she's going to alley-oop that one. Just throw down a dunk.
Throw down the dunk on the putback. What a great athletic move. What a brilliant future this young woman has. What a contribution, what a contributor she already is to this team. She fills such a great need on this team when you need to go to high-pressure defense, when you want to pick the pace up, when you want to get the other team to start rushing. Pellington goes in and really is disruptive into the offensive flow of the opponent.
And like you said before, what an exciting young generation of athletes and such amazing veteran leaders that they get to learn from. This team, this program is going to have a lot of success for a long time because they've set it up in a way that allows them to have success.
So well put, and it is set up for long-term success. 39 seconds as we wrap up this game, 110-57. Canada Basketball's senior women's national team in front. Team Canada going on to the next round of the Women's Olympic qualifying tournament. Dominican Republic will have possession for what could be the last time in this game. 18.1 seconds to go. 110-57. Canada Basketball pressing to the end. Why not? Hernandez has been fantastic today. Why not? Canada will walk the clock out. Dominican putting it on. I think this is a warm appreciation being expressed by the fans here in the Expo Center here in Edmonton, Alberta. 110-60. Canada over the Dominican Republic. Heartfelt effort by both teams. Great execution, great performances from a variety of people on Canada's side, Kira.
A huge team win. Like we said, everyone contributed in a multitude of different ways, but everyone scored. They were moving the ball so well, getting tons of touches. Great team win, which is, I think, exactly what they were going for today.
Going for and got. Great team win, showing their appreciation to the fans and that love coming right back to them. Hats off to the Dominican Republic for their effort today after a disappointing loss to Cuba yesterday by 2 points. To not be able to play today, to go to the Olympic qualifying tournament, came out, gave a spirited and heartfelt effort. Team Canada sweeping their 3 games here in Edmonton, Kira.
A very impressive showing by Team Canada. I think yesterday a bit of a grittier win, showing off their depth, showing off their grit, but putting on a fantastic show for everyone that came out to watch throughout the week. It was a fantastic tournament, and really happy that they were able to come out with 3 wins and earn their berth to the Olympic qualifier in February.
Absolutely. So we're going to get a picture taken right now by the great Jason Hill from the Edmonton Stingers organization. Thank you, Jason. And I tell you what, Kira, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you today. What a great opportunity to be able to have the ability to sit courtside, start talking about what we're seeing out on the court, and be able to bring this to life, be able to hopefully bring some context, bring this to life for folks as we have Canada out here putting on such a great display, exhibiting such class in everything that they do. So it's been an absolute thrill working with you.
Thank you so much. It's been an amazing opportunity for me as well, and I love the game of basketball, and I love that Edmonton has been able to host this, but it's more for me than just the game. It's the inspiring younger generations. It's these women that are finally getting the respect and appreciation, and people seeing the athletes and the incredible people that they are, and I want to be a part of that, and I want to help grow not only basketball but women's sport in Canada and across the world, and I thank you very much for the opportunity. It's been amazing.
It has been amazing, and I think what I'd like the message I'd like to share about women's basketball in Edmonton is we have such a unique history here with the Edmonton grads, which were groundbreakers in every respect of the word. When 100 years ago, women's basketball wasn't even regarded as a sport in the truest sense, but they won Olympic champions. They're still one of the winningest, if not the winningest team in basketball history, men or women. And there's such a pride in our community to be a part of it and to be able to host the women's national team from Canada as part of our community is a great source of pride for us. But then to be able to bring the basketball from around the world into our midst, show it to our fans, have the fans be able to come out and enjoy it. what a privilege, what an honor, and it's been just a great weekend for sport in Canada, for women's basketball in Canada. Thank you all for watching, and all the best to the teams as they move forward. The Puerto Rican team, along with Canada, are going to be going on to the Women's Olympic qualifying tournament in February, and we're going to see Canada give their all in order to represent our nation in the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo.